First of all, you've got to remember that gulls have benefited from human activity. We're a dirty and wasteful species, and we provide a lot of rubbish, a lot of half-eaten food and garbage, and there's general agreement that that has increased the survival of gulls, so that there are more individual gulls than there would have been without people here. And one of the species, the great blackback, which is the more predatory, has spread down from a northern distribution in historic times. So when Audubon wanted to draw a picture of a great blackback gull, he had to go to Labrador to find one, and now they nest off New York. So their distribution overlaps that of the terns much more than it used to, and their numbers are much higher. And all of the seabird protected areas in eastern North America that have terns and puffins and razorbills, the gull population is controlled, it's managed, it's brought down to a level below what it would be if we left them alone. And some people have difficulty with this, but you've got to remember that the gull populations are high because of what we've done. So sometimes people say, well, you want to control the gulls here, you know, that's playing God. And my response to that is we've played the devil long enough. It's time we got on the good side. And if that involves managing the gulls, which is a euphemism for killing them, or at least controlling their predatory activity, then it's a stark choice between terns, puffins, razorbills, between this spectacle and having a gull colony. Which do you want? There are lots and lots of gull colonies, more than there would have been without our interference. But there's very, very few places with the terns and the puffins and the razorbills. The Canadian Wildlife Service, who managed the sanctuary, stopped lethal control of gulls in the year 2000. It was not, as I understand it, a deliberate policy decision. It happened. It was a side effect of other policies, and the gull, not only have the numbers gone up, but their behavior is quite different. When I came here in '95, gulls were around the edge of the island, and if you got close to them, they flew away. They were scared of you. Now they walk back and forth through the colony. You can throw a stone at a gull and it just moves to the next rock. So they now, and they are depredating. They are going into the puffin and razorbill areas. They're taking eggs and they're taking chicks. And they're bold. They see this as their feeding ground now, not as a place to stay away from because people might hurt them. So I'm concerned that even if the food comes back for the terns, that they will have difficulty beating off the predation of the gulls, because there are more gulls and the gulls are much more confident about their predatory activity than they used to be. Another factor that has, I think, helped the gulls to maintain numbers here over the summer has been the lobster fishery and the Jonah crab fishery. We're in what's called the grey zone, where the border between US and Canada is disputed, and that grey zone right around this island. 7 or 8 years ago, both countries became excited about this jurisdictional dispute again. Their level of excitement varies over a sort of a 10-year cycle. And one of the responses was, on the Canadian side, let's encourage Grand Manan lobster fishermen to go and fish off Machias Seal in order to demonstrate that it's ours. So there was more fishing activity. And why that's important is that when the fisherman baits his trap, he pulls the trap up, he takes the old bait out, puts fresh bait in, and he chucks the old bait overboard, and the gulls come in and they eat it. So the gulls have a summer subsidy of fishing bait that has increased. So the State Department and Department of Foreign Affairs fighting it out at a top level has an impact on what happens on this island to the birds. The only thing we can do anything about on this island is controlling gull predation. We can't do anything about the food supply. We can't do anything about squabbling over whose patch this is, but we can control the gull predation. Now, my preference would be not to control the gulls, but to control the predation. If we could somehow influence their behavior that they didn't come and eat what's here. But they've had several years now getting used to this. So I think the only option is what the Canadian Wildlife Service used to do very effectively was to issue a permit to their warden here in the summer to shoot to scare. And sometimes he scared them to death. And the shooting at them scared them off, and occasionally if a gull just didn't get the hint, they would be shot dead. And that kept the gulls away from the colony, and it controlled the amount of predation that they did. And I think that needs to be brought back. And I've been saying this for a number of years. And it is the only management action that can be taken right here on this piece of real estate. The other questions are much broader questions for the community, the much broader community as a whole.